Good morning, trolls. Take note. If you did not like my Monday video or something in that struck a chord with you, please stick around because you are definitely not going to like today. So I planned my next video today to continue the 9 months of escalating abuse at the hands of my in-laws. However, I've kind of changed course. I'm tangenting for a moment. I'm appreciating the troll comments are making me giggle. Thank you so much. I cannot believe the supporter comments. But the reason I'm changing course today is because of some of the commenters saying things like, this might be happening in my life. I possibly recognize this a little bit. Thank you for bringing awareness to this or making me think about it. So changing course, and I'm going to talk today about some of the things that, the red flags that I wish that I would have followed with my gut sooner. So taken separately as total separate events, these things aren't that big of a deal. And I can't wait to hear some of the comments, but I want to go through some of the stuff that happened so that I can talk about how, as it builds over 15 years, this is insidious narcissistic abuse. And the reason I think it's so important to talk about how these things build up is because narcissistic abuse is insidious. That's how it is able to go on for so long. Typically, someone who is a victim of narcissistic abuse, by the end of it, will be an absolute shell of a human. You are a shell before you can even start to think about what happened to you, before you can even consider putting a label on, before you can consider Googling some search terms for what potentially happened to you, which is kind of what I did. So I'm going to talk about some of the deceitful disguised things that I started noticing 2 months. My gut started screaming at me 2 months into my 16-year relationship with my husband. I just did not listen. Essentially, and what I've said in a handful of my videos so far is that I wish I'd followed my gut. I really wish I had listened. I didn't marry into a Jerry Springer family. I'm maybe dating myself there, but this is a perfect family. They live in a gated community in Florida. They have 2 homes, one in Minnesota, one in Florida. Pillars of the community, very involved. They're Christians. They're involved in their church. They have so many friends and acquaintances. They're so loving and interested in every part of your life. And so how can such wonderful people lead you to feel so sick deep down? These are all things that I thought of last night and this morning. I'm sure there are like hundreds. So again, I'm just going to go into the ones. They're also out of order. Very quickly tried to put this together after my daughters went to bed last night. And before I need to log in to work this morning. So the first one, it was my birthday in like 2017, late 2017. And please see part 1 to catch up. I don't know how long this is going to take. I need to log into work soon, so hopefully fast. So it's my birthday, 2018, maybe 2017. And my husband and I are obsessed with our Instant Pot. We were those annoying losers, not losers, but annoying people who all we talked about was our Instant Pot when we first got it. And it was like a gift to us. And I referred at some point to my mother-in-law about how I had sold my crock pot. It's not like she gave it to me. It wasn't an heirloom from her, but I sold my crock pot at a garage sale because I loved my Instant Pot so much and I couldn't imagine not having my Instant Pot or ever needing a crock pot again. And a crock pot must be something that she really identifies with being fitting of a good Midwestern wife and mom, because as I opened my birthday present on November 19th, it was a brand new crock pot. And as I opened it, she knew I wasn't happy. I mean, the fact that she immediately said this, I just had a feeling that you were going to regret selling your crock pot. Crock pots are just really imperative for having meals ready ahead of time for your family. As I sat there like, are you fucking kidding me? And at that point in my life, I wasn't even going to fake just kind of the confusion on my face. Wasn't rude about it, but I was like, oh, wow. Like I told you how I sold my crock pot because I only use my Instant Pot now. One day on a family vacation, at this point I had a daughter, so again, I'm jumping around. I really opened up to, we were like making a meal together, and I really kind of went out of my way, went out of my comfort zone to open my heart up to her and tell her that I don't like constant hugs. I realize that that's part of like childhood trauma that I need to get over, but I don't like to be hugged by people that aren't like my husband and my two daughters. You know, with his family, with my husband's family, you know, when you see them, you're hugged like when you first get there, or in the morning if you're vacationing together in the day, at night, like lots and lots of hugs, like way more. And so whether I have to deal with my own childhood trauma or not, it was a boundary. I was telling her, I didn't say it as a boundary, I didn't know what those were yet, but I was telling her that I didn't want to be hugged. And so I kind of, you know, was saying that I can go with one hug a day, but you know, that's kind of, if we could just do one hug a day from now on. And at the end of me telling her that, she held out her arms and said, "Oh, honey, thank you for telling me that." And then she gave me probably the longest hug that she's ever given me in her entire life. And no words. Over a 15-year period, at least 50 times we asked her to stop getting us gifts. She would do it anyway. I now know that is. Look back at the other parts. So she would give gifts, even though we asked her to stop. Please stop. You don't need to get us gifts. We don't need gifts to love. We don't need gifts as like payment to be in a relationship with you. Turns out to a narcissist, you do. I didn't know that. It's called love bombing. Didn't know that. And it does make sense with how much she would be like subversively or insidiously abusive. And then the gifts would always come within, you know, even the next day, the gifts would show up. It was obvious enough to the point that within the last couple months, my 5-year-old mused out of nowhere, "I think Grandma saves the gifts for after she yells at us." She does not take no for an answer. She is not ashamed to ask you 8, 10, 15 times to do something, even after you express disinterest in it. Whether it's the fact that she wants you at the holiday Christmas party 3 days after you gave birth to your daughter, she wants you to bring your 3-day-old daughter and your 3-day postpartum body to this holiday gathering, to the point that she will ask you 8 times, and on the 6th, 7th, and 8th time of asking, she'll say, "Don't want to pressure you, but it'd just be really so important to me if you could make it." Just want to let you know, public service announcement, that if you start something by saying "don't want to pressure you" and it's the 8th time, inherently you are pressuring. Other things such as, "I want to buy the girls sequins raincoats." Again, there's hundreds of these examples. No, thank you for offering to buy them sequins raincoats from Target. We've got raincoats. They don't need them. Save your money. Maybe if you really want to get them something, we can go shopping some other time. No, we don't want raincoats. And a couple days later, they show up in the mail. You do not get to say no to the vacation. You don't say no to the holiday. You don't say no to the birthday. And if you try to say no, then something that I didn't know was called triangulation happens. And that's when she must tell the older sisters of my husband, and suddenly they're sending you side texts outside of the group chat, saying things to you like, "We need to collaborate to say no. Mom needs to know why you're saying no to this." That hurts Mom when you say no to what she desires and guilting you into doing it later. You do not, it's our family legacy relies on this. You don't get to say no. Every holiday has to be together. You FaceTime together. If you can't do the holiday or the birthday, you have to make it up. That is just how it is. In another video, I talked about how mean she is, how rude she is, how much she looks down on service people. It was really, really bad to waiters, waitresses. I would be at these places where she was being rude and would just hope that I could invisibly disappear into the backdrop. See my other parts for context. Continuing on, there was sister-in-law one year, the oldest sister-in-law wanted to go to a dinner theater that is close by in Minnesota. I've been to this dinner theater. It's great. But when mother-in-law was talking about, oh, sister-in-law wants to do this, so like we're all going to go with our families, I had said that, I've been there before, and I think that they have an age limit. At this point in my life, I had a 3 and a 4-year-old. And they kind of were like, well, we want to go to the thing. It's like, it didn't even matter that I said that. And so I looked into the dinner theater. They had an age restriction for 5 and above. And at a holiday dinner, she brought it up again, how we were going to go do this dinner theater, because that's what we all wanted to do. And I said, oh, I did actually end up looking it up, and there's an age restriction So, you guys can go. I'm not going to hold you guys back from going, but I won't be going because I don't meet the age restriction. And she smiled at me so sweetly and leaned across the table and said, "And you're going to abide by that?" in front of everyone. And so then I'm like shocked into silence, like, wait, am I being questioned on having respect for, like, having ethics? It's just part of the cognitive dissonance of what the narcissist will do to you. Another one is that in a previous video where I lip sync to a Greatest Showman song, her mother recently died, 2 years ago, in fall of 2019. And we've always lived close by. We always lived close by to these in-laws. And so we drove up to see this dying grandma at a hospice, even packed up my daughter's coloring books to make sure that they could maybe stay, whatever. And grandma ended up like dying that day. And as we noticed that she was kind of like headed that direction, I sang to her. I sang to her for like an hour. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses. Very amateur. I grew up in a church, as you can probably tell. And so she thanked me so much, hugged me, when it was all over and grandma was dead. And I remember thinking, maybe she will finally love me. I sang her mother to heaven's doors, if that's where she went. Maybe you'll love me finally. So then I also play piano, church kid, weird church kid. So she was like, "Can you play songs for her?" And I was like, "Sure, of course I can. I would love to do whatever I could for you to make you love me." And so long story short, I played like at least 3 songs, if not 4 songs. And at the funeral, at one point, mother-in-law stood up in the front, because she's in the front because it's her mom, turns around and humiliates me in front of her. "Are you at the right place in the itinerary?" Yes, I was. Continuing on, look back at the other stuff. Otherwise, this might not make sense. Otherwise, continue watching. So I've vented about group chats in another video that I posted, how I do not think that as a endless, no end in sight thing that group chats with entire families are healthy. I originally didn't see the problem. Now I see the problem. Anyway, she would send up to 60 texts a day on this group chat. Very enmeshed. Didn't know that word either until therapy. Very enmeshed group chats. I've saved them, but things like we would wake up to "Good morning, angels. All of you have a blessed day." If you want to wake up to that, fine. But every single day as an adult just feels weird. "You are blessed. You are loved. You are held." Again, it's beautiful words once, but call me Scrooge. Every single day, it just feels weird. It just feels every single morning we're getting a text from my mother-in-law. It just feels weird. Feels like she lives here. And my favorite is "We are all one." I'm reading this. "Separate, beautiful parts, but ultimately one." Like, what? It's like a wedding vow. Anyway, of course she has Facebook. I had Facebook too. Used to, sort of. And she would share things to my page like 3 times a day. I'm not into things being shared to my page. And what I mean by that is, like, it's not original content. She's just sharing just random stuff that just hits her fancy. Finally worked up the courage to ask her to stop sharing stuff to my wall. Didn't miss a beat, didn't even listen, in one ear, out the other, continued doing it. I asked her again, same thing, in one ear, out the other, did not give a shit about my boundary, kept doing it, blocked her on Facebook. I asked her if she could cut back on videos, that she would send a lot of videos. She'd like take videos of photo albums. I know it sounds weird. Lots of videos she would send to the same group chat where there would be 60 texts a day. And sometimes I would ask her, my phone storage can't handle this, and I can't handle this amount of text. And so she'd just she'd continue doing it and then say passive aggressive things like, "Hope that Bethy isn't too upset by this." Another common one that has been around since I was dating my husband was she barely misses a chance to tell me that I look tired. I know I look tired. I have mental health problems. I have insomnia. If I get a normal night's sleep, it's like church bells ringing. In addition to that, I know how babies are made, but I unexpectedly had my daughters 13 months apart. I'm very tired. I don't know about you, but I didn't know that that was something. I thought you weren't supposed to say that to people. Look back for the context of what the heck I'm even talking about right now. So once I had kids, it was constant questions. Have they gotten their immunizations? You know she needs X amount of milk a day. Is she getting a vitamin? Has she recently seen her pediatrician? Have you signed up for kindergarten roundup yet? Would you like me to come with you to her parent-teacher conference? And again, for the trolls, I know that that's just a caring mother-in-law. And I tried to suppress my kind of revolting feelings over her doing that constantly, because I figured that's just her being loving. That's just her love language, is being overbearing in my life. But it kind of felt like on the other hand, it was like, it'd be different if I had messed up with something, that I did miss an immunization. I did miss some, but I didn't mess up. I mean, I'm not a perfect parent, but as far as like objective things, like I wasn't messing up. And so it did get to me. Oh, her hair, the minute she walks through the door, oh, her hair needs brushing. And then she's instantly like yanking my daughter's hair. And so my therapist theorizes that she did this to try to instill that she has a lack of confidence in my and my husband's ability to do things. Like we need her in order to be reminded of how to like do a good parent, or else will like totally fail. And weirdly, when she's around them, she not only doesn't bond with them, but it's like she wants to see them fail. She'll suggest things that are so far above their ability or age, that I usually have to swoop in like a helicopter mom and like smooth things over, as I see my daughters being like my 4-year-old. All right, let's write uppercase and lowercase A through Z. And it's like, she's 4. Like, chill out. I guess I don't have a prodigy. Oh, and she has a child degree of some sort. She talks about having this really important childhood degree. I don't know that she's ever used it. I don't know what it's called, but she, from the start, another big red flag is that she cannot bond with my kids. She is like so awkward with them. And it's not just me saying this. I know I sound like a total asshole, but even my husband would note that she just did not bond with them. In fact, we would call her the puppy dog, not to her face when she would visit, because she didn't engage with the girls. She would follow my husband around the house and like, how's school going? Do you need help with your lesson planning? I know a janitor at another school. Maybe you can ask him what he does for what? Anyway, and just following him around to the point that my husband started planning ahead for it. And he would be like, I'm going to go like work in the yard when she gets here so that she can't follow me around and she'll like maybe engage with the girls more. Well, you probably know where this is going. Newsflash. Suddenly she's earmuffs and winter coat. I live in Minnesota. Following my husband around as he's chainsawing trees on the property. Here's where it gets interesting, and here's where you come in. So here's some other minor things, but ultimately I see them now as just manipulative abuse. So she would always bring food, even though we asked her not to. Key word, we asked her not to. It's one thing if I didn't have the balls or my husband didn't have the balls to say, please stop bringing us food. But we said stop. And trolls, when someone says stop, when someone says no, don't do it anymore. Don't do it. So she would bring us food. And finally, when we did start having the courage to, say no to it, just calmly, it would be like, no, please stop bringing me raw chicken with panko sprinkled over the top, wrapped in foil and put it in my fridge. I'm not going to eat it. Please stop bringing me goulash. I'm not going to eat it. And she'd bring it anyway. And when we even started saying, we asked you not to bring this, she would just say something like, well, I just love you so much, or it's my love language. It's just a grandma thing. You can't stop a grandma from bringing this stuff. But we asked her, we said no. I know that's nice. I know it's nice she's bringing it, but we did say no. And so she's doing it anyway. Same thing with, again, minor, taken as separate things, but can I feed, when we would go see her house to her house and bring our dog, oh, I'm going to put food in her dish. And I'd be like, oh, you know what? She's putting the pounds on. Could you not do it? And in 2 seconds, Lily, my dog, is eating a full entire thing of food. I would even say to her, I asked you not to do that, mother-in-law. Well, I just love your dog so much. And that's just a grandma thing. I know I'm skipping around, but anytime his older sisters, the sister-in-laws, didn't like something that we said on the group chat or anything that we answered, they would then they would then like direct their private texts to my husband, putting direct pressure on him. Surely your wife has you by the balls. We know that you wouldn't answer we know that you wouldn't answer like that. We know you don't have that thoughts. So now that your wife is off the chat, what are your thoughts? And just so shady. Let's see. Oh, birthday party, maybe 2017. I was starting to, again, just be like, I don't always want to just do what people tell me to. I wanted to be alone. I'm very much an introvert, and I just wanted to be alone on my birthday. Birthdays are a huge thing in this family. And damn it, I wanted to be alone on my birthday. And she kept asking, when can we do the birthday? You know, what day's the party? When can I bring cake? And I just kept being like, I'm just going to do my own birthday. We'll see you at some point, some other time. And she literally said, well, when will we have your birthday then? When will we celebrate it? Something like that. And I remember my father-in-law, thank you, saying something like, just because you're not there doesn't mean the birthday didn't happen. I think that blew her mind. I talked about this in the past in the same video. Oh yeah, look at the other parts, by the way. I talked about this next thing in another video about where I talked about red flags kind of previously, but I'll really quickly say it here. So there was a time in December of 2018 that we went to a Minnesota mall because older sister-in-law and her kids really wanted to sit on Santa's lap on Christmas Eve. We got to the mall late in the afternoon, and the Santa, like the little Santa kiosk with the Santa and the elves, had closed. They hadn't left yet, and we pressured and were such absolute assholes. I say we, I stood there and let it, I wasn't joining in. But I still stood there. I still let it happen. I still did not stand up to them and say, what? No, we're not going to pressure them. So anyway, sheep that I am, still, I take accountability. But we forced through like being assholes that we forced the Santa and all the elves, no, you can't go home and be with your families right now when you're supposed to be closed on Christmas Eve. Our kids need to sit on your lap. It's Christmas Eve. Come on, have the spirit. And the minute they open back up, of course, mother-in-law and sister-in-law and husband-in-law narcs are all so happy. Oh, thank you. This is so wonderful. So anyway, I talked about that in the past one. In October 2019, in the fall, both of the older sister-in-laws, so this isn't all red flag from my mother-in-law. My in-laws are also narcissists, interestingly enough. Not exclusively, but it tends to be that way. Anyway, the sisters came to our house, confronted us at our own kitchen table about how my husband and I were going to do more for mother-in-law. What more can we do? What more can husband and I do for mother-in-law? We've already lived by her for 13 years at that point, pretty much provided for all the needs, been at all the holidays, been at all the things. They've lived in Illinois. They've enjoyed living in Washington and not being here. But what more can we do because we aren't doing enough by their standards and by mother-in-law's standards? When the behavior did really start getting bad, especially these last 2 years, the amount of excuses for it, well, she's depressed. Maybe she's bipolar. She's grieving. To be fair to mother-in-law, she did lose both of her very elderly parents and her husband from cancer within like a 15-month period. So to be fair with her, she did lose. But her parents were in their 90s. Her husband was extremely unhealthy and had cancer for a third time. But she still lost 3 people. However, I lost my brother in a really horrific, tragic accident, a farming accident, which was freaking horrific. And you know what? I know people grieve differently, but you don't have to become an asshole when you are grieving and lose someone. I wish I'd had time to wrap up. This is kind of awkward to start a video by wrapping up. Please look at my other posts. For those who are following me and supporting me and enjoying kind of the cancerous tea of the gossip of the abuse that my in-laws perpetrated on me before I finally identified what it was when I was an absolute shell of a human. I am going to continue talking about so again, I'm, where I've currently gone is I'm about 8-9 months from where it just continued to get horribly, horribly, horribly worse, where I am now 6 weeks and 3 days no contact. So I plan to do that very, very soon. Again, I can't believe those who are like listening. Even my husband said, no offense, it's kind of offensive, yet I totally get it. I can't believe anyone is listening to you, which, yeah, is kind of an asshole thing to say. But at the same time, what I mean by kind of agreeing with him is you're all listening to me, even though I don't have anything planned. I'm not fancy. I'm just a weird girl that lives in Minnesota with a whole lot of issues and just some stories to tell. So thank you. I love you.